Happy day, children. I hope you all are doing well. Class 6 Social Studies. Let's move into today's session. In our last class, we saw about people traveling to places. Now, in today's session, let's see why and what was the need for the people to travel. People traveled from one part of the subcontinent to other and settled here. Was it way too easy for them to travel across, children? Do you think so? No, it wasn't that easy, as they had to march across hills, high mountains, deserts, rivers, and seas. Remember, I told you a name for this hills, high mountains, deserts, rivers, and seas in last class. Do you remember that? Okay, the name is frontiers. Frontiers are paths that are found near or beyond the boundary. So it refers to the hills, high mountains, deserts, rivers, and seas. So what was the need for the people to travel? First thing, for settlement in areas for better livelihood, people from across the subcontinent, across regions, crossed over the frontiers for better settlement. They did this. Second, such movement of people across areas in one way enriched our land with so many different cultures, like different people share their own ways of stone carving, music, even different cuisines of food were shared. Next, men marched in armies for conquering others' land. You can refer to picture 1 and 2. Men marched in armies for conquering others' land and settling down there. Next, merchants traveled for the exchange of goods. Next, why did these merchants travel? For the exchange of goods, trade purposes, to sell goods, buy goods. And apart from that, there were also religious teachers who traveled places to impart their religious beliefs and to offer instructions and advice. Apart from all these, some people took it as an adventure to travel and discover new and very exciting places. For example, this is how Christopher Columbus, who discovered America, he did so many voyages, so many travels, and as a part of his voyages, he found out, he discovered America. Fine. The next part is knowing how the people traveled. We saw people traveled, and then we came to know people traveled for certain reasons. And who were those who traveled? And the next interesting part is how they traveled. Sometimes men marched. Marching is literally walking with your legs. So, okay? Marched in armies for conquering others' lands. You can refer picture 1 and 2 in the slide. And merchants, as a part of their trade purpose, they traveled across lands using caravans. The current day caravans are totally different. But the caravans that they used in the past were mostly of camels, ships, and sometimes donkey. You can refer picture 3 and 4 in the slide. So they used camel caravans and sometimes ships that were built by themselves. Okay, children, so till now we have studied, or we understood how the people in the past were, where they lived, what they did for their livelihood. Did they travel? Yes, they traveled. They traveled for certain reasons. They traveled by certain means. Now, it's getting more interesting. We're going to know the names of the land. We were learning it part by part. People settled here in the river banks of Narmada. People settled there near the river banks of Indus, near Ganges, Ganga. But together we do have a name for our country. So it is called in two names. So our country has got two names, India and Bharata. Okay. So we're just going to have a short glimpse on how our country got its name. The term India, the name India comes from the name of river Indus, which is in the northwest. It has seven main tributaries, and hence the local people of the northwest named it as Sapta Sindhu, meaning seven rivers. Later it was called just as Sindhu, which is a Sanskrit name. Next came the Persian and the Iranian explorers. As you know, our land was very much explored by explorers of different origin, of which the Persian and the Iranian explorers who visited our land way back 2500 years, they tried to cognate is match H from their language with the S that is used to write the Sindhu, S in Sindhu with H. Okay, so that they just changed the S into H. Now the name from Sindhu became Hindu. Okay, now the name traveled through Greece and Italy and ended up losing the H from Hindu and became Indos. Okay, so Indos in Latin means Indus again. Okay, so Indus. From Sindhu it became Hindu because of the Persian and the Iranian explorers. And again, when the people from when the Greeks and the Italian people explored, they changed the Hindu to Indos with Indos to Indus, which is the Latin name. Okay, and as days passed, when they started practicing this Indus, and the name arrived to India, the current name of our country. The other name, Bharata, was derived from Rig Veda of the ancient times. It is mentioned as Bharata refers to a group of people, tribe who lived in the northwest region. Okay children, till now we saw how people traveled, why they traveled, how our country got its name, and so many things. Now how did we learn all this? Was it just because it is mentioned in a textbook? No. Right. All this was possible because everything was learnt from past that was actually documented. Some kind of documentation had happened, and that is how we were all able to know about that. Documentation in the past? Seriously? It is getting more interesting, right? Yes. What were the things that were used by people in the past to just save or mark, to make it available for the people who come for the next generation? So that were generally called as books, or the special name given was manuscripts. Okay, so manuscripts were similar to books that were written long ago. How the name manuscripts? Manu means hand in Latin, and script means usage of a language that contains both signs and letters. So Manu means hand, script means language. Language written in hand called as manuscript. What was the material that was used? So this slide shows the pictures of manuscripts, few manuscripts. You can see the bottom left picture tied into book-like structures. So this slide shows the pictures of the materials from which manuscripts were originally made. What was the material that was used? Palm leaves. Left side picture, you can see the leaf, palm leaf, which was used for making the manuscript. And you can see the birch trees. Bark of the birch trees were also used for preparing the manuscripts. The middle picture shows the birch trees, and the right picture you can see bark peeling off from the birch trees. So what does the manuscript contain? Over the years, many manuscripts have been destroyed. As I told you, it is of plant origin, so it is very natural to understand insects could have eaten it up, and some were destroyed. But those that are still in existence are the ones that are preserved in temples and monasteries. Monasteries are buildings where monks live. What does the manuscript contain? These are considered as the books of the ancient times that saves religious beliefs, lives of kings about medicine and science. Also, poems and plays were also written in the manuscripts. The language that was mainly used to write the manuscripts were Prakrit and Sanskrit. It is also observed that manuscripts are found to be present in Tamil language as well. You can see the picture for your reference. The one on the left side is the manuscript in Prakrit language, which is very much similar to the Sanskrit. And Tamil, on the right hand side picture, you can observe the manuscript in the Tamil language. One other way to read and know about our past is through inscriptions, which is similar to the manuscripts, which we shall be discussing in the next session. I hope you all enjoyed this session. Thank you for listening. Thank you, children. Have a nice day.